My name is Alec Fokapu. I'm the CEO of FiftyFor.
Welcome to the African Tech Roundup, Put.
Hi, thank you for hosting me.
So we were just speaking before this interview began about, reflecting on the Afrobytes Tech Conference, reflecting on the curation of the event, how we have so many people from various parts of Africa's tech industry. And then we got to talking about some of the things that we both feel ought to be done better on the continent in terms of creating a conducive environment for tech to thrive, and not just tech in the sort of enterprise context. I think that's pretty much proven at this point. But the tech ecosystem that starts with, startups that later grow into big ideas, into big business. Tell me some of, share with our listeners some of what you were telling me now. What have you identified? And I know we'll talk about your business in a while and the specifics of what you guys are trying to do. But you obviously have sight on Nigeria as a market because of what you do. But give me a sense of what you think needs to happen and which good ideas we might borrow from other countries.
Sure. Well, there is something that is very interesting to look at when you look at the early startup companies in Africa. And I will speak about Nigeria, but I think it can be very, it's kind of similar in other countries in Africa. First of all, you have small companies looking for money, looking for actually business angels, people who are willing to take risk, and if I may, people who are willing to lose money. The idea is that in US, for instance, a business angel knows that if he invests in 10 startups, out of them, let's say 80 to 70% will be a failure, total failure. You know that he will never recover that money. Maybe 2 will be like an average success, and 1 will be a big shot, a big success, like the Facebook or the kind of the equivalent. So you know that out of 10, there is only 1 of them that will recover, make the return for investment. So that's why I use the word lose money. And the reason why I say that, because us African, we don't like to lose money. We don't like to invest. We're not, if you allow me, educated to lose money.
Okay, so again, I'm going to have to stop you there because I'm all about the narrative, right?
Sorry.
So we love to invest because, I don't know, I can speak for my culture where cattle are a huge investment. A man must have his cows and he builds a family around, wealth. I'm talking now in a traditional sense, right? Yes, but in the context of a traditional mindset towards investment, that the experimental nature of being able to make peace with the fact that not everything works out, but that doesn't make trying not worthwhile.
Yeah, actually, I have to change a bit what I said, is that it's the risk approach is a little bit different. Here in Africa, it's a very risky environment. So whatever risk you take, you have to be very careful about the risk you're actually taking when you invest. So when I say we're not educated, I meant mainly that we're not used to this kind of investment because the overall environment is a risk. So the kind of decision that you make obviously will be more conservative.
It needs to be a sure thing.
Exactly. So that's why most of business that we probably find are like let's say traders. Basically, they buy and sell stuff and they just get the commission out of it. I'm not saying it's all the business. There is obviously business that create a lot of value with.
But again, if to your point, if you look at the informal economic sector of most leading economies on the continent, you're looking at people who are invested in a trading endeavor, usually in an informal environment, a straight line between buying something for a low price and selling it for a higher one.
Exactly. That's basically what happened here. So you just take a profit margin out of, let's say, you buy and sell, and it doesn't create value. It doesn't create more jobs, basically. So
and wealth, I suppose, in the context of the kind of wealth that you can build.
You can build long-term value, not only for yourself, but also for the overall community. You can actually have a higher number of suppliers, for instance, if you actually build something with value, with an asset, and that you invest in. So that is not something that actually happened on the continent. And this is funny. It's not because there is not enough money. There is something that I believe strongly. There is enough money. There are enough money in Africa now. We don't need more money. We don't need World Bank. We don't need FMI. We don't need any help from anyone. I'm sorry to say that. There is enough money now. What needs to change is the flow, how the money flows in the country.
I think it's interesting that you point this out, because even some of the big business successes that are typically mentioned, the Elumelus of this world, to use Nigeria as an example, to use, the Aliko Dangotes, and again, it's really a high-profile, large-scale example of the basic buy something for a certain price and sell. Look, I mean, to be fair, they are.
Dangote, for instance, Dangote in Nigeria, when he started his business, that's exactly what he did. Buy low price and sell high price. He has very favorable environment and conditions at that time, but that's exactly how he studied and make his wealth. So,
and for a lot of people, that's what business looks like. Exactly. If business doesn't look or sound or feel like that, it's not a business. Even if I have the disposable income to spare on participating as an angel investor or a VC.
Exactly. That's the main issue. Here we're talking about symbol. When your main symbol, example, the role model that you have is buy and sell, and that's what you have in mind, then why would you want to build something different? Why would you want to do something different? So what we need here is another kind of role model. People will say, guys, I invested. I believe 5, 7, 10 years from now, it will be a huge success. And for that, you have to believe in yourself, in your country, and in your people. And that is also something that is probably, I don't know, really missing, or that is something that I don't feel. I feel it. I met tremendous entrepreneurs, people who are willing to invest over the long term, but they are the exception. They're not the rule.
And so do you feel like gatherings like Afrobytes offer an opportunity for us to share insights like that? Do you feel like there's a readiness, in the room? What I like, let me put it this way. What I like about what I've experienced so far here relative to other conferences, for example, is by and large, people are here to talk business, right? And what's happening on the main stages and in the breakout rooms and everything is important, but I can see the premium that people are putting on meeting and stepping aside, actually getting business done. Yeah. There seems to be an urgency around that here that I haven't quite seen at other conferences.
I can tell you it is happening, because I think there's been a good curation, and the people who are here are very high profile, very qualified, and very capable people, and all of them, they have projects, and I would say that there's some kind of compatibility that can happen. I just talked with a woman just before actually coming here, and she was. Right away, we managed. Okay, there is something that we can actually build together, and this is the kind of conference where we meet the people who are like us. Those people are builders. We are, all of us here. We are builders. We build the future, and that's what is kind of great with Afrobytes. That's what I can feel here, and we're not only building companies, but we're also building a mindset. When you can actually think as you like an African, and you stop thinking like, okay, I'm less than Western countries, but you can actually think to yourself that they're going to follow my lead. Well, it's a different mindset. That's something that also we need to build, not only companies, but also mindset. Both work together.
And so let's talk about mindset, because I feel your business speaks to mindsets in the aspects of it that are sort of regulation technology driven. There are aspects of it that are conscious of the importance of building trust and promoting best practice, compliance, facilitating the kind of comfort that perhaps investors in the developing world have come to expect from looking at business prospects in their context, but sometimes feel like Africa's just the scary place, and I get the sense that you mean to address mindset on both sides, where it's a mindset issue perhaps in the context of a non-African or foreign investor going, well, I'm comfortable with Africa because I get it now. Mm-hmm. And on the continent, someone understanding at the very least the standard at which they need to operate in order to be viable, or to be perceived as viable, to be perceived as trustworthy, and access the resources they need to grow. Mm-hmm. Is that an accurate way of describing what might be behind your business?
Sure, totally. Actually, one of the things that we want to achieve here, if I have to summarize in simple words, there is a business culture in the Western world, and there is a business culture in Africa. And there is one thing that has never been recognized, that there is a business culture in Africa, which is very specific. And people have to take that into account when they come to invest in that country. But there's not something who actually explain that to them. They don't understand that relationship, trust between individuals, trust within family, community plays a critical role in business. And in Europe, it doesn't exist. Or so less. That is not that important. In Europe, a company A can have business with company B and they don't know each other. And then in Africa, it doesn't happen. I have to know who you are. I have to know where you come from, basically. And this sense of trust in business, basically, needs to be translated into European framework of thinking. And this is what we actually do with our platform.
You're sort of an API for a cultural API in the entrepreneurial context.
Exactly. That's actually what we do. Which is why, if I going back to my business, which is why our rating business model is based on, it's a social network. It's a community-based rating. African rating African. Companies working in Africa also rating companies working in Africa. And we translate these ratings into a language that European can understand. They're like, okay, it's finance, okay, I get it. Governance, okay, I get it. Operation, what is the supply chain? Okay, I get it. So that's what we do, basically. And that way, we allow both worlds to meet. And they speak the same language, our language.
So, because I'm based in South Africa, what's very topical at the moment economically is the various ratings agencies basically downgrading South Africa's status in their books to junk status, right? And they're not without their reasons. It's a politically turbulent time in South Africa, etc. But there's certainly a growing resentment in particularly the developing world, around ratings agencies that seem to have a potentially crippling effect on economies, industries, companies, with what they call objective ratings regimes and so on and so forth. And look, I don't believe they're always criticized fairly, but there is an undercurrent of dissent that's based on the fact that what gives someone else the right to rate my business, yes. Right? So you're operating within a broader context where that's an issue. And how do you go about selling your proposition to startup founders who might not be comfortable subjecting themselves to something like this?
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, let's forget about European companies or US companies. Let's talk between Africans, okay? You want to find a customer, your suppliers. At the end of the day, it will be all about your reputation and who you know, where you come from. People will always ask that question. So if we can actually provide those entrepreneurs a place where this information is available, basically where we say, okay, this company, this is where they come from. The founder, this is who they are, and they are good. It's not me saying it. It's that all the people who work with them that actually testifying that they are good. And those people, they are also trustworthy. So this is trustworthy people saying that this company is good. But because it's based on a social network, and we are using social network, we have Facebook, LinkedIn, so everybody knows how to use that. So there is no technical barrier or cultural barrier on going on the platform and provide some, let's say, data or professional data. So they know how to do that. And also from a cultural perspective, it's part of the already process of doing business in Africa. We're just making it digital. That's it.
And so tell me what your database looks like in terms of size, what's your footprint, and most importantly, how are startups responding to this proposition? And perhaps equally important, how are you selling this proposition to clientele who presumably are buying subscriptions to access this data?
Sure. As of now, our platform database is like 5,000 companies. Our main market is in Nigeria, which is, let's say, 95% of our database. But that's because we just started in Nigeria and we launched a couple of months ago. Before that, we were doing...
You've got 5,000 companies signed up already?
Yeah. And we have 50 customers, paying customers. And again, in Nigeria, those are mainly companies dealing with suppliers and also dealing with distributors. So that's how it works as of now. And the idea is the adoption is kind of great for now. And we hope to have 100,000 companies by the end of this year, 2017. The reason why is a social network, remember, and it will grow exponentially. And we believe it will grow exponentially because people they really need someone to vet for them, and that's just basic behavior in Africa. You need someone to vet for you, and for the customer, they are lost. I mean, like most of the customers are big companies or subsidiaries of big corp. When they are in Africa, they are lost. They just don't understand the country, and they need someone to tell them, okay, this company is good. But actually, this someone is not me, not even my company. It's the community that say, okay, this company is trustworthy. So this African saying that those Africans are good. I will give you a particular example. We have one of our customers, which is an insurance company. And you know that when you want to do import-export, you might need some credit export insurance. But here's the thing, that there is no data in Nigeria for some companies, for insurance companies to actually provide an insurance, and so you cannot import a product or you cannot even export. And you have a lot of insurance company, or one of our biggest customer, which is insurance company, they say, okay, this information that you give us, it's more valuable than the balance sheet or the financial statement of a company. Think about it. The information that we provide based on the network is more valuable than the financial statement of a company, because the financial statement is outdated most of the time, is not trustworthy most of the time, and it's also limited. It only look at finance, but I want to know how the company is going. Is the company doing well? And one of the main incentives for a founder will be, okay, this is a way for me to get financing. I can have insurance for my transaction. I can have a financing for my transaction. And I can have investors looking at me because they know that I'm transparent, but in the right way.
I'm curious now about your business as a startup. Sure. And how you're supporting the venture, what challenges you're seeing.
We raised funds last year in 2016, and we probably raised more funds in 2018. So if any investor here, please note. So the idea, the thing.
And when you say raise funds, how are you raising? Like a pre-series A? What is it?
It will be a Series A. In 2018, it will be a Series A.
Is that like a Silicon Valley 5 million?
3 to 5 million in 2018.
Okay, fine.
So the idea for us...
3 to 5 million in 2018. Okay, say that again.
So we're looking for 3 to 5 million in 2018.
Okay, all right. In addition to?
in addition to 500,000 euro, which was our seed fundraising. So that was.
And did you do that here in Europe?
We did that in Europe. Exactly. Yeah. We raised in Europe, mainly business angels. So all of them were CEOs and so on.
Okay, so again, I want you to share what you shared with me, right?
Sure. So the thing that one of the things I was talking before is that I don't understand this. I do understand what we actually need in Africa, because to support early stage company in US, the way it works in Silicon Valley mainly, you have business angels and you have like an ecosystem mainly driven by business angels that will actually invest in small companies. They will take risk. And then in France, we have something a little bit different, because most of the support is done by the French government through a grant that are basically given to young entrepreneurs, like 30,000 euros. You can have for free, and you can do whatever you want with the money. And you can also have like another support from the government. We give 70% of your salary for nearly 2 years. So think about that. In the US, you have the business angel environment that can finance you for 1 year, 2 years. In Europe, you will have in France mainly, you will have the grants and subsidies and all the support for your salary. If you want to launch a project, you can experiment for like 12 to 24 months. And in Africa, what do we have? We have nothing. But what is very interesting here is that between France and US, they don't use the same approach to support early stage, which means in Africa, we can actually develop something on our own. We have money, we have entrepreneurs, so there is something to build here. There is a bridge which is missing, which is between the money that we have in Africa, we already have, and the current set pool of entrepreneurs. So,
it's assuming you landed €5 million over the next sort of 6 to 12 months. Yeah. What would you do with it, and which places, which markets on the continent would get your attention?
As of now, we are in Nigeria, and as you know, which is one of the leading economy in the country. So we're going to expand to English-speaking countries because we start in English, so we will continue. So South Africa is obviously on the list. Egypt is also on the list, and we also start working on French companies because, as you know, I'm a French, so that would feel strange if I don't look at some French-speaking countries in Africa.
Where are you from, and how did you end up choosing Nigeria? Aside from the obvious, the size and the size of the population, but how does a francophone individual choose an English-speaking part of the world English-speaking part of Africa to operate?
It's a long story. I will try to make it short. Initially, this company was an investment fund. I started as an investment fund. I raised €1 million to invest in SMEs in French-speaking countries. I was working in Mali, Burkina, and Benin. And I have done that for 2 years. It was a huge failure because one of the entrepreneurs I invested in stole the money, flew away with it, and that we had 2 investments at that time, and he just stole the money, just disappeared, just like that. We managed to find him with Interpol and so on, and we kind of realized at some point that, okay, guys, there's something wrong going in this continent, and what is not going well is that you don't know who you can trust. I come here, I invest, I have a good intention, I want to create value, and that is taken from me. So, which is why I shift to do this business, working on building trust first, and then doing whatever we want in terms of investment. But here's the thing. I realized that in Nigeria, I have one of my current customer, who was like, okay, Alec, I'm struggling with the Nigerian companies. I know that you've been assessing companies for investment fund. Do you want to do it in Nigeria for us? And I was like, yes, but we're going to use my methodology. So I designed a methodology on the spot. It was very minimal at that time, not as complicated and sophisticated as it is right now. And that's how we started it. So that's how I ended up in Nigeria, because someone was needed what I wanted to offer.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked the question.
Yes, true. That's how you... Wasn't that long, actually?
Yeah, and so where is your home country? You didn't say.
Actually, I was born and raised in France, but my original country is Cameroon, so I'm a Cameroon.
Hala, so you're Rebecca and Chang's homeboy.
Yes.
All right. No, it's been fantastic chatting with you, and thank you so much for rubbing shoulders with us here at Afrobytes Tech Conference. Thank you so much, and all the best with this business. We'll check the sky for you and hope you land that investment.
Thank you. I hope so.
Throw us a commission or something.
Oh, we obviously.
No, I'm kidding. Messing around. Just let us know when you do that. We want it. We would love to know.
Sure. We keep you updated. Don't worry. We will do that. Thank you very much for the invitation. That was great.
Cheers.